Hey, 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 Youth Ministry Nation, I'm Kurt. This is AC. Let's talk youth ministry.
Let's do it.
Boom. Dude, good to see you.
How are you?
Good. Okay. We've got a lot of stuff today. First of all, most people watch this podcast.
Yes.
They watch it on YouTube or they're on the More Than Dodgeball website. However, starting this week, some people for the first time are listening in iTunes.
Yes.
So you can subscribe in iTunes and get the audio version of the podcast. And that way you can listen to it while you're on the treadmill or while you're driving in your car if you don't care to watch.
Yeah.
And they don't have to look what they're missing if they're not watching.
I know.
You see.
But they also don't have to look at the quality of the show.
That's true. Today everything's a little bit crooked. Did you notice that when we were setting up?
Oh yeah.
It's like our tripod fell off, got thrown out of somebody's car and got bent up or something. We had a very hard time getting our things squared up.
Yeah. And this is probably the fastest show we've put together.
Yes.
Sat down.
You didn't tell me we were doing one until I came in to say hi and let you know I was running off to my junior high life group, and you said, "Can we do a show first?"
Yeah.
So junior high life group guys, I'm gonna be a little bit late.
He's gonna be a little bit late, but for good reason.
Fend for yourselves. Just run around the neighborhood. You'll be fine.
Don't tear the house up. Don't tear your hotel.
The neighbors will love it. The neighbors will love it. Okay. First of all, last week. We held this up. We wanted to give away some prizes. Yep. I didn't know what it was. I thought this was going to be a stumper.
Yeah.
But we had like 15 people email
us what
apparently all the same answer. Josh Hurley.
With pictures. Yeah, good job.
Josh Hurley was the first gentleman to email us correctly.
Yeah.
And basically what everybody agreed this is, it's an old lantern where you would take the top off. I should not have screwed it on so tight. Talk amongst yourselves. Good gosh. You take the top off, you put a candle in there.
Yeah.
You light the candle, screw the top back on, and then the light of the candle shoots out here, and it's a lantern that you would carry around, old school lantern. So, Josh Hurley is the winner. Here's what we're going to do. Josh, you need to email us back at the same email address at talkyouthministry
at gmail.com.
Talkyouthministry at gmail.com. Anybody else can email us with show topic ideas, questions. Josh, we just need your mailing address, and what we're going to send Josh is something that everybody should buy anyway, but we're going to give it to Josh, is we're going to send him an entire, from our good friends at Simply Youth Ministry, an entire Jesus-centered suite.
Yes.
A suite of products that are all Jesus-centered. We're going to send him Rick Lawrence's Jesus-centered Youth Ministry book. We're going to send him like the volunteer pocket guide to the same book. It's like the Cliff Note versions.
Awesome.
So the youth pastor reads the book, the textbook. He or she can purchase several copies of the pocket guide for their volunteer team. We're going to send them a Reframing Jesus DVD curriculum for teenagers and 1 or 2 copies of Reframing Jesus, the devotional that I wrote with Rick for students.
Are you going to sign all these? Because I'm sure you've had a hand in some.
I can't sign them. I've had my hand was in 2 of the 4. I'm the teacher on the video curriculum, and I helped write the Reframing Jesus book. I'm not going to sign them because they're coming from Simply headquarters out in Colorado. Okay. So, Josh Hurley, congratulations. Everybody else, go to simplyyouthministry.com, click on the Jesus-centered stuff. There's some really, really good brand new things. Okay.
I got to set the timer so that we...
Set the timer now for about 15 minutes because we've been going for 5. Here's what we're going to do. You called this shot, this video shot, so you know the questions. I don't. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate. We got 3 questions today. The first one, you answer, I'll give commentary.
Okay.
The second one, I'll answer, you give commentary. The third one, you answer, I give commentary.
Okay.
How's that?
I don't even know what you just said, but you lead me as we go.
Okay.
Okay, first question.
Yeah.
This was interesting. First question was from a student. He's a literal student who's 17, running the youth ministry at his father's church. Saw our last episode and was like, it was great, but for him, he's not taking over for anyone. He's kind of stepping into the unknown, into this world, and it's like, okay, what are some of the things that I need to do off the bat to start this thing from scratch to get things going?
On the last show, we really talked mostly about if you're taking over an existing youth ministry, what are some things to do, what are some things not to do. He's saying, I'm not taking over, I'm starting from scratch. All right. Go. That's a great question.
Man, starting from scratch, I think if there's anything, you may want to take some time to kind of like identify the students that are in your ministry. Do they come with mom and dad? Are they active? Are they just, there? Do they just show up because they're there? Or do you have a lot of students where you could maybe do something like, hey, what if we did after service, just to get to know each other, we just started some type of relational thing after or before service just for the students. So you didn't start this thing, you didn't break off into your own or start this day. You really just started with kind of getting to know the students and where they are. So you said an hour before service, we're going to have donuts and we'll play a game, or we'll do something. And
then we'll all go to church together.
And we'll all go to church together. And you just start off a little bit
small,
getting to know the students, getting to know the parents. And with you being so young, I think building some credibility with parents would be a huge win. Just something.
I would focus on something you said last week. You said if you're coming in new to an existing ministry, relationships. I would say that's the case even if you're starting from scratch. Just build relationships. The relationships are the foundation of what you're going to build on. So, eventually you're going to start Bible studies in small groups and a weekend program. But if the students that are there already know each other and feel like they're in relationship, that stuff will all take root much quicker. I would also, kind of like you said, I would start with what I have. So I would take the spiritual pulse of the students that are coming. It might be 3 or 4 students that are coming to this brand new youth group. Well, are they 3 or 4 super churched Christian kids? Because what you do from day one with super churched Christian kids would be different than what you do day one if you said, you know what, the students that are coming, their parents don't come, they're not Christian students, they don't know Jesus. Then you need to start there. Kids who don't know Jesus, you need to introduce them to the basics of Christianity and who Jesus is. Christian kids, you probably need to help them grow spiritually and begin to reach out to their lost friends. So I would just start with what you have. And I would also just, if I was starting brand new, you're 17 years old, you're not getting paid a ton of money, if anything, to do this. You're doing it part-time, obviously. At the most, you're doing it part-time. Just start small. Just baby steps. You're a young youth ministry. You're not a miniature youth ministry. Miniature means we're just like the church down the road, but smaller. Young means, no,
there's nothing there.
We're babies, and there's a whole lot of stuff we just don't do yet. So, maybe you do one activity a month, and it's very low-hanging fruit. You go to burgers after church once a month. Maybe you do one midweek, Wednesday night or Friday night Bible study a month. You just baby steps. See what God does and just grow it slowly. You're 17 years old. You're in a brand new church. It's a smaller setting. Nobody's expecting you to have a full-fledged youth ministry.
I would even say utilize your pops. He's the pastor. So take his message from the weekend and then say, hey, Dad, how can I help me form some questions, something, if you start a midweek something.
I like it.
And then just utilize that so you're not necessarily thinking, oh, I got to be creative and I got to just piggyback off what they're hearing the weekend and then apply it to their everyday life. I think that could be a great start for you.
And I would say this, the one thing that he can do from the beginning is the one thing that most churches are trying to redo or undo, and that is from the very beginning, he can make sure that the youth ministry and the adult church are integrated at certain levels. Not all the time, right? But we are trying to take 2 completely siloed ministries, adults in this building, youth in this building, and we're trying to figure out when can they come together? How do we shorten that gap between them?
What's the best time?
He gets the opportunity from the very beginning to build into the DNA some aspects of intergenerational, we go to church together, we minister together. Again, he's not going to do that all the time. But from the very beginning, what are some areas?
You will win early if thinking about this right now with parents, with the church, even with the students, because they're already doing it. You're not taking something away. You're just thinking a little bit more critical about what's already going on.
Gotcha. All right. What was the next question?
Second question is websites. Good, bad. He's trying to figure out a way how can he best communicate what's going on with the ministry. Should he do a website? If he should do a website, how robust should it be? What are your thoughts?
My 2 cents, it's not a website question. It's a, how do we get information in front of people and build a little bit of community outside of the 4 walls of the church and the activities that we're doing. So a website might be the best way to do that. it might be a terrible way to do that. You know, a website more than anything else, all online stuff, Facebook page, Twitter, all that, is only as effective as you are engaging with it. Right? If it's static, it's dead. So
nobody's gonna.
Nobody. If you're all in Instagram for a week or a month or whatever, and then your Instagram, your youth group Instagram account goes stagnant. People quit following.
Nobody
they quit checking.
Engaged.
If your Facebook page goes stagnant, if your website goes stagnant, I do think we are in a day and age more than ever since websites came into existence that it's kind of gone full circle. We never had them, and then we were all about them, and now I would say. You don't necessarily need a website nowadays with Facebook pages and all that. There's lots of easier ways. If you're going to do a website, I think recognize that parents are probably more likely to visit your website than students, unless you make it super robust with chat rooms and Q&A and you know whatever. Like a reason. You got to give a reason for teenagers to come and visit, and they probably won't. So I would use my website mostly for an online, easily updated, constantly evolving calendar, communication for parents, first-timers who are new to the community and they happen to visit your church's website and they just want to know what the youth group's about. And then I would use things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and good old-fashioned face-to-face to minister to students.
I would say if you're going to do a website, keep it super, super simple. The simpler, the better, because that means the less you have to maintain it. Calendar is a huge thing. I think if you think about website, think about the parents and think about them wanting to know what's going on and being able to get that information at any given time. So a website, calendar is huge. Pretty much, I mean, anything else, parents may not use that, may not come to the site, but they'll come to the site if they're trying to set their calendar for the year and they want to know what the youth ministry's calendar is for the year. They would totally be all over that, and that would be something that you may engage with more because you're always thinking about the calendar. You're always talking about the calendar. So keep it super simple if you do one. I think I always advise, if you can, use a text system. Students are texting. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and you can use that for promotion stuff. But when you want to get information in front of your students, in front of your parents, the best way to do it is to text.
Well, things have gone full circle. Life is secular, right? The pendulum always swings, and it always swings back. And several years ago, the reason websites were so awesome and popular, and even Facebook to some degree, was it was on demand. Like, I come to you when I want information. So anytime, any place, I can log on and I can get what I want. And that was super attractive. The pendulum has kind of swung back to, it's different than it used to be, but we are pushing information, push notifications, right? It used to be a newsletter in the mailbox or whatever, or a phone call at home. Now it is, we push you through our text message service. We push you Instagram updates. And more people actually like to be pushed stuff, as long as we don't overdo it.
That's a great point. Push notification, I think that's a great point to bring up. Everything is moving to push notification. I want to make you aware of what's going on. It's no more stagnant is obsolete now. Everything that's created is created with a push notification.
And fewer and fewer people are taking the initiative to log onto your website and see what's going on. They're just going to wait for you to push them an Instagram update or a tweet or a text message reminding them to sign up for camp. They're not going to go onto the website as much as they used to see when the camp deadline is. All right, next question. That's 2 out of 3.
The last question, which I think is probably probably one. Let me think a little bit about, but. I need to think a little bit about it, but it's we have a youth worker who's trying to figure out, how do I get my students to respond? How do I get my students to show up? He's putting on things, students aren't showing up, even in service, there is low activity for students. It's kind of like, when is this going to be over type of deal. So he's trying to think of some tips that could help him get students to engage more.
So not so much show up to the event, mostly once they're there, how do I get them to engage more?
Both.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, that's probably an age-old youth ministry question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every one of us asks that. We ask that every week.
Yeah.
We asked that at our 24-hour work retreat last week. How do we reach more teenagers?
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got 2 showing up, you wish you had 4.
Yeah.
You've got 8 showing up, you wish you had 12. You've got 100 showing up, you wish you had 150. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Some of it's our brokenness. You know, we find value in how many teenagers are coming. And part of it is our evangelistic heart. We know there's a whole lot of lost teenagers in our communities, and we want to reach more and more of them and see more and more of them plugging in. So it's an obvious, natural question that we all ask. My first gut response is avoid the temptation to gauge solely by attendance.
Yeah. The success.
The success. Yeah. You know, just because you're not getting a lot of teenagers doesn't mean you're not doing really, really good youth ministry. Yeah. In fact, there's a lot of youth groups that have a lot of teenagers coming who we would say they're doing terrible youth ministry. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's just, it's entertainment. It's bribery. It's a big party, but it's not good, healthy youth ministry. Yeah. And then there's a lot of youth groups with 3 kids who are doing great, great youth ministry. Yeah. How do you grow from 3 to 6, from 6 to 15? Consistency, time, being available to those teenagers, relationships, excellence. I mean, there is a place for excellence when they do show up. What's the product that they're getting? Yeah. You know, a lot of times they show up and then we give them something, we give them an experience that wasn't worth their time. Yeah. And we just think, well, of course, bring a friend. Well, why would I bring a friend? Tonight sucked, you know. So you want to put your best foot forward. You want to give them a great experience if they come. I think helping them get engaged once they're there, that's a tough one. Yeah. I think a lot of that is done outside of the walls of the church. The more time you're spending with students outside of church, when they show up to church, the more they know you, the more they trust you, the more they know that you're invested and you're not just there only for those 90 minutes on Wednesday night. The more you engage with students outside of church, the more likely they are to engage in the program inside of church. And then, you know, just look at the program you're delivering and how well have you created engaging opportunities? Are the questions open-ended? Yeah. You know, are you just lecturing and every time a student mentions something, you just take that as an opportunity to keep lecturing? Is there some true back and forth? When students have opened up, is it a safe place for them to open up? What's the temperature, not the physical temperature, but like the emotional and the safety temperature of the room? Just a lot of those kind of things.
I would say, I mean, I think you listed off everything you need to do. I think those are all kind of like things that you'll see immediately some change and difference in the students as you think about that. I think in terms of culture-wise, sometimes we think culture, you know, well, I'm going to do this to make students more engaged. I'm going to do that, and your culture has never been that. Well, culture changes with time. There is no instant, you know. Right. When it comes to trying to do a culture shift with your students, wanting them to be more engaged, I think
that's going to be a slow process.
Yeah, it's a slow process, and I don't think it starts with us just internalizing that question. Some of it is, but I think get a few students who are there every single week, and bring them into the circle and say, hey,
that's huge.
What are some things you would love to see happen in our youth ministry during our program? What are some things that you like about it? What are some things you hate about it? Right. How can we help you, you know, bring your friends to, what can we do to help you invite your friends to school?
The more skin in the game they have, the more ownership of the ministry they have, the way more they're likely to participate. And we've seen that in our program. Totally. Right? I mean, we had lots of students coming out to youth group. Yeah. And we, over the last 10 years, have given more and more and more and more ownership to students. And I don't know if that's caused more value to what they have more buy-in. And I don't know if that's caused our ministry to grow. I do know this: it's caused our ministry to be way more. The students are way more engaged. Way more. They've way more bought into what we're about because we've given them a bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah, you have to sometimes just think like a high schooler. I think even if you don't have that kind of like outlet where you can pull students in, you haven't had that core. I think that starts. If you look at your ministry and you're like, well, who do I bring in? I don't know. I think, well, that's the timer. But I think that's when you're looking at like, okay, I need to build some relationships here.
Right.
If I don't have students that I can immediately go, hey, why don't you guys come? Let's go grab a Coke or some pizza and let's talk.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, I think you start with some relationships. That's going to really, really help you. But just to think in terms of, you know, everything that I like, students may not like.
Totally.
Pay no attention.
Pay no attention to the time.
Crazy time.
All right, I love it. Okay. Well, that goes back to something we said a long time ago. It's one of our kind of fundamental values almost is what you do is for them, not for you.
Yeah.
Right? So what you think they want may not be what they want.
Yeah.
What you want to give them may not be what they want to learn or need to learn.
Yeah.
And you only know what you know. And some of what we know is the more we become experts in adolescent development, we kind of know.
Yeah.
But the other way we know is by getting to know our students and asking them questions.
This is a simple example, but I think think along these lines. I did a workshop this past weekend, and I was speaking on Christianity. Well, to open up, I was like, I'm going to ask a few questions, play a super simple game. I'll ask the question. If you get the answer right, you get candy. Well, when I start to think about, okay, what kind of candy do I get? I think, what kind of candy would I like as a high schooler? Well, I went and got king size everything.
Yes.
Because you always look at the small. You only have enough for the small, but you always wish you could buy the king size. So I got the king size, and it was 100% participation when I opened up the bag and they saw.
If it was a Tootsie Roll.
If it was Tootsie Rolls, or if it was like.
They wouldn't have been as engaged.
They would not have been engaged, and it was simple questions that I threw out.
Did our students know any of the questions about Christianity?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But I threw some tricky ones.
I'd hate to have to cut Josh if they didn't know.
I threw some tricky ones in there. But the idea was super simple, and I thought my idea was what kind of candy would make me want to be engaged.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
super simple.
Easy,
it didn't cost me, we probably paid maybe like $10 for it.
Right.
So it didn't cost much, but the payoff was huge because got students thinking.
Yep.
Those who wouldn't raise their hand are raising their hand because they, you know.
What would you do for a Klondike bar, right? What would you do for a... Anyway.
Guys, we've had a great time talking to you.
Email us questions.
Yes.
Let's talk youthministry@gmail.com. Right down here someplace at the bottom is a button if you want to subscribe to the podcast. To the YouTube channel. And if you want to listen on iTunes, you can go find us on iTunes.
Let's Talk Youth Ministry.
Let's Talk Youth Ministry. We'll see you guys next time.